Right, and as we promised, we now want to get into that conversation with the CIC Chairman Charles Nyachae, of course, over just what has been working and what has not worked in the time that they have been in office. Remember, that's also the big question tonight. We're asking you, do you think that the CIC has actually made a difference in the implementation of the 2010 Constitution? Do text us. The number is 22155, or you can also tweet me at Betty Okari. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
So that's the question. Do you think that you have made a difference in the implementation of the Constitution?
I think, first of all, let me say it needs to be understood from the onset what the role of CIC has been. And in particular, that the role of CIC has not been to implement the Constitution. The role of CIC has been to monitor, to facilitate, to coordinate, and to oversee the process of implementation. The actual implementation of the Constitution is contemplated within the Constitution to be done by government in its various arms, the executive, legislature, the judiciary, and the various organs of government.
Right.
Secondly, it must be appreciated that as an oversight body, CIC has worked with all these other implementation partners. Now, that said, yes, I think from our perspective, I think the Commission has discharged its mandate as was contemplated in the Constitution. Whether you're talking about endeavoring to ensure that legislation which is enacted by Parliament to give effect and implement the Constitution complies with the letter and spirit of the Constitution. I use the word endeavoring advisedly, because at the end of the day, legislation is done by Parliament. There's a lot of work that has been done by CIC with the various arms of government at both levels to ensure that what they are doing day to day is consistent with the Constitution, particularly when you talk about the new system of governance devolution. And then, of course, what tends to be seen, the interventions out there in the public, where the Constitution is threatened or where there's an abuse of the Constitution, which I have to say is probably about 20% of the work that we do.
But you have been at loggerheads many times with parliamentarians, like what you mentioned, you know, the different arms of government, even the executive, you know, coming in and forcing, you know, their way into some bills. How has that affected?
You know, Betty, nobody should be surprised that an institution which was put in place to oversight the implementation of a very radical and transformative Constitution has been, to use your words, at loggerheads with an institution such as Parliament. Ask yourself, and Kenyans should ask themselves, if that wasn't going to happen, then the framers of the Constitution wouldn't have needed an organization like CIC in the first place. But the history of this country, the history of government, the history of institutions such as Parliament and the executive and so on, made it an imperative to have a body with an independent status and with sufficient constitutional backing to oversight this process. So for me, rubbing shoulders with whether it was with Parliament or whether it was with the executive, that to me came with the job. That was to be expected, and that was just part of the process.
Do you think that it's the right time for the Commission to go home, you know, considering that there's serious processes and crucial processes that have not still taken place?
I think with the benefit of hindsight, and this is a view that we've held for you know, the best part of a year now. From our perspective, with the benefit of hindsight, the 5-year implementation period was probably a little ambitious because of all the challenges that we've had as a nation in terms of the implementation of the Constitution. And that is why if we separate the members of the Commission from the institution of the Commission, because as members of the Commission that has been there, we did inform Parliament early enough that whatever decision they took, we were not going to go beyond today. But we did at the same time recommend that Parliament does one of two things. Either it extends the life of CIC as an institution, not the current commissioners, but as an institution, because there was still a need for that oversight, and there still is a need for that oversight role of ensuring that the Constitution is implemented in letter and spirit for the benefit of the people of Kenya. Or if Parliament, and which is perfectly within its prerogative, Parliament chose not to extend, as they appear to have done by default, if they chose not to extend the life of the Commission, then we have said that Parliament owes it to the people of Kenya to give its verdict about the status of the implementation of the Constitution, and also to inform Kenyans, guide Kenyans, how do we move forward with this implementation journey. And on that one, I have to say, on this my last day as a chair of CIC, on the second and latter more important question of how do we move forward, not about CIC, not about the commissioners, how do we as a country move forward with the implementation process. On that, I think at this point, they may yet redeem themselves, but as at now, I would say that the National Assembly has not served the people of Kenya well.
Right, and on that, if the extension does not actually come to be, are you confident that the implementation of the Constitution will be on track in the years to come, even as you say that now parliamentarians will have to give sort of like a report of what's happening?
Well, I still live in hope that the institutions of Parliament, because now that the National Assembly did not extend the life of CIC, it now falls, in our view, upon both houses of Parliament to address the more important issue, which is what is the future of oversighting the implementation process. I still have the hope that sooner than later they will realize the importance of this, and will therefore either create another institution with the necessary independence and the constitutional safeguards to be able to carry out the job, or if not, that they will empower some other existing legal institutions, whether it is the Kenya Law Reform Commission, any other. But with that, it's very important that any such body has the requisite independence and the requisite constitutional underpinning, so that it is able to carry that implementation oversighting process forward. If that doesn't happen, then what must then happen if we are not to lose all the gains that we have had? What must then happen? And this is really for me a poor second, because we have failed as a country in terms of civic education and ensuring effective public participation. So if an institution is not empowered to do that, then I'm afraid the only way that we can protect our Constitution and its implementation is for Wanjiku to then stand up and defend and protect and uphold her own Constitution. Now, sadly, Wanjiku has not been empowered
enough.
Which was an obligation that government at both levels had to provide civic education and to empower the citizen to ensure effective implementation. That hasn't happened, but that would then be our next best hope in the absence of an institution.
And it would be interesting to know, from where you sit, do you think that this Constitution has made a positive impact on the lives of Kenyans?
Betty, my colleagues and I, having been privileged to be so intimately involved with the implementation of the Constitution, have had an experience which would only lead me to give a definite answer to the question that you have just asked. Best example is devolution. We have been out there in the counties. We have endeavored to visit the counties which were most marginalized, most excluded, most historically disadvantaged. And the truth is, we have seen what one particular important pillar of this constitution, devolution, what it has done. So without a doubt, this constitution, if you look at devolution, if you look at the rights of citizens, yourselves, the media, if it wasn't for this constitution, look at what has been happening.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, this constitution really, in my lifetime, is the best thing that happened to this country, and we must protect it. We must ensure that it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, and of course all the best.
Thank you
now
very
you
much.
can enjoy your holidays.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now that from tomorrow I am a private citizen, I shall be happy to enjoy my
New Year.
My New Year.
Right.
That said, my colleagues and I, because we have been privileged to be so intimately involved with the Constitution and its implementation, will ensure that we discharge our obligation to the people of Kenya, even as private citizens, to do our part to ensure that that Constitution is fully and effectively implemented in letter and spirit and serves to change for the better the life of Wanjiku.
Thank you
very
so
much, Betty.
Thank you very much. Outgoing Chairman of the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, Charles Nyachae, speaking to us on KTN Prime.